the weird thing is this concept I actually kind of came up with like I think 2 years ago. I was just kind of like, everything's very experimental. So I was just kind of experimenting around, playing around. And the reason that I made these little like geometric forms, they're just out of mat board, like they're nothing crazy. I kind of consider them like mock-ups, like not true like sculptures. But so in the painting classroom, we have like a whole bunch of geometric little forms and stuff that we can use in still lifes. And I pretty much used all of them. I was kind of like, oh, I'm kind of bored with all of these in here, so I'm gonna make my own. So I made these, and it was just really fun. Like the way that they caught the light was, in my opinion, a lot more like visually interesting than just like the basic forms that we had in there. I like giving it a, well, it actually did not initially have a concept going into it. It kind of evolved as I progressed with it. But the way I've been describing it to everybody in like this really like short 3-word phrase that I really like is a dreamlike geometric landscape. And I think that really sums it up well, because the kind of conceptual idea that I've come to find is that through my process, so I'll touch a little bit on the process so I can explain the concept. But I made these little sculptures, started painting from them from life, and then I just kind of completely got rid of it. And didn't look at it, just kind of started painting just from like what I could see in my head. So that's why I call it like dreamlike, because it kind of depicts what I call it, the title of it is mind's eye. So it's what you can see in your mind whenever you're not looking at it. I've heard a lot of people saying it looks very like architectural, kind of like origami. And really when I made them, I wasn't quite thinking about that, but now I kind of think going forward I want to try to pull those parallels, because they aren't organic forms, they are man-made. So I think parallel is like something that I really want to work with, because especially because I work in twos, I work in diptychs. So, you know, parallel between 2D and 3D worlds, or nature and man-made, so yeah. So I want to continue with like bridging sculpture and painting and kind of combining them together. These of course are kind of just mock-ups and they're still kind of separated from the piece, but I am very interested in sculpture, even though I am a painting major here. So I want to kind of explore maybe scale, bigger sculptures, and then changing to a maybe more sturdy medium or materials, doing like wood, maybe steel, things of that sort, and then possibly like actually connecting the two, connecting the sculpture to the canvas some type of way, and then kind of bridging the painting between the two, or kind of just ditching the square altogether and just going and painting on sculptures itself. Basically throughout my entire life since I have this really funny picture of me when I was like a toddler with like a little like kid's easel like drawing and stuff, like looking like my parents are like taking a picture of me. So like literally since I was a baby, like I've just been drawing and stuff like that. And my parents always say that like it was more about the process of creating for me than it was like what I actually created, because like it wasn't even just like drawing and stuff. I would be like creating little like houses to put bugs in and things like that. And then once it was finished, I put a few bugs in there. I'm like, okay, I'm bored with it. Like, what's next? Like, so I've always kind of had that urge, that like innate urge to create. I feel like when I get into my studio and I kind of start painting, it's really fun. And I kind of just get into this very like chill, in the zone, listen to music, like meditative. And then I think while I'm painting, because it's so meditative, my brain is like churning and like going through like all of life and everything going on within it. So I think that's how it kind of like shows up on paintings. Like my teacher Tom, he stresses a lot about how like over time in your painting practice you will unintentionally put your like thoughts onto your canvas and what you're going through. So even if it's just like super fun and like in the moment, I don't really see it until afterwards. I was like, oh, this is kind of dark. You know, I paint like a like big giant streak of black, and then I'm like, that was fun. And then afterwards I'm like, ooh, like what was I thinking about? And it's Kind of cheesy to call it sometimes in my opinion, but you know, the flow state. So that's kind of I think what we all want to try to reach within our work. So